Start recording. Stop recording. Button. Camera chooser. Camera chooser. Back facing. Button.
Okay, I think I'm recording now.
Stop recording.
Yep,
Stop recording.
I'm
But
recording.
speech
I'll
off.
turn the speech off. I'm doing a bit of an audio only video today because there's nothing for me to show really. Apart from, what some people are saying that they're seeing, it looks like my phone is staring up at the roof or something, and I'm like, okay, you can see the ceiling in my videos. Oh, that's funny. So I thought, when I'm doing an audio video, I don't know how to make it look, visually nice. I don't know how to do that. I can't see what I'm doing, so anyway, but I must make a really good recommendation for Baker's Delight. They are so nice. For one of my subscribers, they're at Yeronga and they know what I'm talking about, but try their ham and cheese danishes because they are tops, mate. Absolute tops. I wish I was lying, but I'm not. Those ham and cheese danishes are like, besides the apple scrolls, they're my favourites. I think they're even better than the scones. And I've eaten some of Baker's Delight's scones, but oh my god, absolutely beautiful. And to another one of my subscribers who I speak to, I'm subscribed to them as well, and to the other person. One of them is a Melbourneian, you know who you are. Well, the Blind Music Mum, if anyone is interested in her channel, she's Blind Music Mum. She does music recordings and other types of recordings that people might want to take interest in. If you want to, I'm just saying that she's pretty good, Well, the joke is she's pretty and good, but in fact she's pretty good. So, we won't play on words really at the moment because I can joke around all day and put a pun to words like not too bad means bad but not too bad, or not too bad. Or you're all right as in all right, or a little bit right. Or not right, or all right. Or pretty and okay. Pretty okay, that's good, I'm glad you're pretty and okay. So I can play on words all day. But anyway, the Blind Music Mum's channel is good. What notifications am I getting?
Speech on. Notification. Uber Eats. Now. How was your order? Dismiss.
Okay, dismiss that. I'll fix
Sign.
it up in
Uber
a
Eats.
minute.
Camera. Stop recording.
And
bottom of screen.
when
Speech off.
I do rate the Uber order, Baker's Delight is getting 5 stars. 5 stars. And I am doing a lunchtime cooking recording, so get ready for that. It'll be a cooking recording. I'm going to heat up a risotto. It's actually a frozen package risotto. I don't know what it will taste like. If it's really yuck, I won't be happy. But I'm hoping it tastes yummy. But for anyone else that doesn't know about Baker's Delight very well, try their custard scrolls. My 2 most favourite foods there are the custard scrolls and the ham and cheese danishes. Please try both of them before you try anything else. Yes, they're twist loaves, which are ginormous, by the way. They taste really yum. I'm not saying they're not. Their scones are yummy too, but everyone has their preferences. Some of you might prefer the scones over everything else. Some of you might only prefer the bread or even the flour loaf breads, which is, I guess, bread lightly dusted with flour. It'll be the same bread, it's just one of them is dusted with flour, the other loaf is not. So one is a flour loaf and the other one is a non-flour loaf. It's still got flour in it, but it's not dusted. So it's all the same bread. But then you've got, is it pumpkin and linseed loaves? There's a few other types of loaves. There's sourdough Vienna and there's all sorts of other ones which are quite yum. You know, I've tried a few things, but my most favourite food is the ham and cheese danishes and the custard scrolls and the blocks of white bread that aren't dusted with flour, because then you don't get flour everywhere. But oh, the bread is beautiful. Yeah, I've been getting Baker's Delight once or twice a week now, and I don't really care because I love Baker's Delight. You know, nearly $20 per order is pretty cheap, you know, plus a few dollars for the Uber Eats delivery fee. So I'm paying between $20 and $25 per order, and that is just so budget friendly. And then when the freezer has more room in it, you bet I'll be putting loaves of bread back in there, because I can then get it out and let it thaw for 20 minutes before taking some bread off the loaf and putting it back in the freezer. You know? So it's easier than eating half of it and wasting the rest of it. And as for my new bin, mate, my life is 10 points now, because I can set up my Uber Eats order and put my food on the plate that I want, put aside the loaf of bread that's already in a packet, you know, put it aside for later. Put any selection of foods on my plate that I want. Put the plate on the table with a drink, you know, coffee or any other beverage. Excuse me. And as soon as I do that, throw any rubbish into the bin. Make sure the bread loaf is somewhere that I can find it for later to put in the freezer or eat it all or whatever I do. And I don't have to worry about any rubbish at all. I don't have to sit there and think, oh shit, I have to go to the door and put some rubbish into the bag and take the stupid bag out to the wheelie bin because, you know, if it's too full it can break the doorknob or the handle of the bag can break, and you know, rubbish can go everywhere. So, you know, and also dropping rubbish. When I'm putting stuff into a bag and it drops on the floor, I'm like, oh, yuck, now I have to clean that up. Ew. So now I've got my new bin. Easy peasy. Take out my food, set it aside to eat, put aside any packages of food that are still enclosed, throw the rubbish into the actual bin, and done. Don't even have to worry. I can sit down for 5 minutes or 6 hours lazily drinking coffee, listening to Netflix, listening to YouTube without going, oh, the rubbish absolutely stinks and I don't use a kitchen tidy because they break. You know, then I can't do what I want to do with full enjoyment, because there's always something wrong somewhere in the background while I'm enjoying my life. It's like this and that. Now, hey, the rubbish is going to stink a little bit. It's rubbish, it stinks. At least I know it would be a bin for a reason. You're not going to put stinky food on the bench. You're going to chuck it into a bin. Well, the bin is going to have a bit of a smell, but it isn't unbearable, and it's not bloody... Oh yes, because the bag's essentially not tied up fully, where it's open but you have the handles over a knob, or the bag's tucked away in a sense that you won't spill rubbish, but there's still enough space for gas to get out and make the place totally stink up. You only get that when you open and close the bin now, like hello, that's natural. And phew, boring. Boring. Life is so boring without any stress going on. So there you go. I was able to set up my brekkie and my coffee without a single bit of trouble today. Wow. And now I just got to go to the shops with a neighbour on Saturday and get some milk and hot chicken. Oh, I hope those wraps haven't expired. Bought the wraps a few days ago. If they've expired, I'm not going to be happy. They're still sealed up, but you know, I'll just have to check them when I open them up that they aren't mouldy. I buy wraps to eat them, not so they can go off and, you know, go to waste. God. And with my new cupboard set up, it's easy to put everything over there that I need over there. Keep everything off the table except for what I'm using, like the iPad, braille display, my phone. Stuff that I'm using immediately is on the table. If it's not, it's either on that cupboard or it's in my room on my bed, ready for later. Or over on the very spacious kitchen bench, unless I'm using it for something else. But at least I can move things properly now. I can move things in an orderly fashion where I can make use of all of my unit properly, which is great because, you know, I can clean the table properly and I can read at the table, I can drink coffee, I can socialise, I can do YouTube recordings, blah blah blah, without going, when is the stupid bag going to be too heavy to leave on the doorknob? When am I going to take my stinky bin outside since it's getting hard to breathe in here? Oh, don't have to worry about any of that. Again, I can just take my bathroom bin, put that into my kitchen bin, put any old stuff out of the fridge or out of the, you know, out of the pantry, if there's old potatoes or whatever, put that all in the bin, take it all outside, chuck it outside, no stress. And I like how the bin's designed where that little square frame is removable, and when you put it in to the, it's like a liner holder. So when you collapse the liner over the sides of the bin, instead of it all flopping when you put rubbish into the bin and the liner flops in and collapses and then rubbish goes all over the actual bin instead of into the liner, because the liner flip-flops into the bin and it collapses on itself, and rubbish, instead of going into the actual bag, is going to the outside of the bin bag into the bucket instead of the bag. Well, that frame stops all of that. It forces the edges of the bag to have certain limits where the frame is holding the bag in place well enough that the sides may flop, but the whole bag won't collapse onto itself, forcing rubbish to spill out into the bucket, which is bloody amazing. I've been looking for one of those bins for flaming ages, and I found it the other day at IKEA. So yeah, I must say I'm damned happy about my purchase. I'm very happy. Now I just have to worry about normal stress, like putting clothes away and beating puzzles in computer games and all that. And then my neighbour, he's used to me whinging about the rubbish bins and having to put it out straight away because it stinks or it's too heavy for the doorknob. So he's used to all of that now. And when I tell him, oh, I'll deal with the rubbish in the morning, it isn't stinky yet. If it stinks, then I'll wake up and take it outside. But unless it stinks, there's nothing that I need to worry about. The neighbour's just like, oh my God, really? Okay. He's like, oh, there's a spare rubbish bin downstairs. I'm like, oh, we'll see what happens. Just worry about that in the morning. You know, and if the house doesn't stink, I'm not even going to worry about the rubbish is only half full. And he's just like, holy moly. So yeah, he's not used to me keeping rubbish in a house where it doesn't even stink. So yeah, I'm happy with how everything's going at the moment. Maybe the floor needs a bit of a clean, but that's about it. Other than that, I've taken a break from reading for a few days, a couple of weeks actually, so maybe starting from next week when I've had enough of computer games, I'll start reading again. But at one point when I was reading for hours a day, I really enjoyed reading. And yeah, I still like reading, but I do need a break from books for a week or even a month once in a while, you know, once a year. Or once in a year, I might need a break for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, from reading a book. Because it's just how I am. But otherwise, yeah, I like books. I'm glad the air conditioner's on because all this muggy hot weather makes me feel a bit stuffy, and then you put the aircon on and you think, oh, that's better. That is a lot better. So yeah, the unit's cleaning up pretty well with how we're getting cleaned up because, you know, no clutter everywhere. Things get put in cupboards, put in their place. It's almost like you could sell this unit for less than the current value. Because it looks so nice, you could sell it for a lower price and people would still buy it. But I told the worker, don't you dare do that, you and I will get into massive trouble. And she laughed and she went, oh, I'd never do that. It's just that working as a mortgage broker, she's really good now at selling units and houses, and it may take 1 or 2 or 3 years to do it, but she can sell them. And I said, oh, the amount of trouble we'll get into. And she's like, yeah, I know. The owners of Link Vision will be like, why did you sell the unit for? And then I'll end up in jail along with the support worker. So we know not to sell units, but I have given her permission to sell some of my possessions that I don't use, like a sandwich maker and a steamer. I can't believe I lost the manual to that steamer. I totally lost the manual for it, but I've got every other manual there. But I completely lost the steamer instructions. I think I've accidentally chucked them out and not even realised. But yeah, this lady is selling some of my stuff which I'm determined needs to be gotten rid of, because if she doesn't get rid of it, I'm chucking it in the bin. And she's a bit like, oh, don't do that. I'm like, well, excuse me, I don't use any of these particular possessions much, like I used to, but I don't anymore. And I said, Why would I want to keep a sandwich maker that I'll have to decide when to use it within 6 months every time I use it? You know, when I think to use it, it'll be 6 months later. I'll use it once, then I'll burn my finger because I've bumped it because it's hot. Then in 6 months' time, I'll give it a go and be like, oh yeah. Then I'll use it a few times that month. And then it will sit there for another 6 months without being used. And it's like, hey? Seriously. Why would I have a device that I only use twice a year? Whereas I use this toaster in my kitchen hundreds of times. I've had a break from it for 3 weeks because I just got to the point where I'm just sick of eating toast. I'll get back into eating toast again, but I love my toaster. I'll be making sure that every time I know that my toasters are going to start to die, I'll be saving money to buy a new one. It will be the same one as this one. Because, you know, it's really, really good toaster. It's a very good toaster, and they're like $50 or something, or $40, but they're really good.
Stop recording.
Other than that, I'm doing okay, and I've drank my coffee. I'll put my cup in the sink with my plate, and I will be back again soon.
Stop recording.